Hi there and welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. Today's session is going to be a good, hard, tough one. One that I suggest is the Redux for week 1, session 2 in the 2K plan, but also one that you can just do as a standalone mid-tier hard workout. In week 1, session 2, what we did was 6 times 5 minutes with 5 minutes rest in between. Those 5 minutes were quite luxurious, but they did keep it down to a mid-tier. Now what we're going to do today is we're going to do 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off. Okay, so it's basically the same thing where we're doing a 1-to-1 work-rest ratio, but because we're going to do this 10 times, what's going to happen is you're going to progressively, it's going to get harder and harder towards the end. But because of those rests, it's never really going to hit that top tier. It's going to keep it at mid, but it's going to let you work hard at tempo, because we're going to do each of these 3 minutes at 28 strokes per minute, and your pace is going to be right about 2k plus 5, which for many is going to be close to your 5k pace. Now when you think about it that way, you're basically rowing your 5k pace for 30 minutes in total, but you're getting like 27 minutes worth of rest in between. So if you think of your 5k pace and you think you're getting half an hour's-ish rest, and you could go, I could easily do that. So that's what makes this a mid-tier, okay? Think about it that way, and it's going to sound tough, but it's not really. It's going to be hard work for 3 minutes, but the rest is going to keep it at a good region for you, so don't worry too much about it, okay? So let's get into our 4-minute warm-up as we always do. Now we start off by setting up our drag factor. If you don't know about drag factor, please check out the video on the YouTube channel. Next up, go to the monitor and set it at eye height so you don't have to look up and you don't have to look down. And finally, foot straps should cover either the bottom lace in your shoe, or regardless of where you're set, then they should let you get to the front into a nice vertical position rather than going too far past or not able to get there. Okay, so that's how to set your foot straps if you weren't sure. Whew, said all that without breathing. So 4-minute warm-up, 18 strokes a minute, and I want you to warm up into this. So go nice and gentle to start, okay? In 3, 2, 1, go. Now in the last few warm-ups, at a certain point I'll say take your feet out of the straps when we get into the drills. Now it could well be that you might want to take your feet out of the straps now for the warm-up, because what that'll do is it'll stop you working too hard through this warm-up. Because if you're not used to rowing strapless and you go too hard, you're going to go flying off the back of the machine. Stick a couple of pillows back there. But don't worry about it. If you don't want to row strapless, and you certainly don't want to just suddenly do it out of nowhere, don't worry. I may suggest it when we get into the single leg drills, but again, you don't have to do it there either. Whole point right now of the warm-up is just to get your body moving, get your heart rate up, and then just start to feel that connection between your legs pushing against the foot plate, and at the same time the handle connects with the flywheel. It's really all you have to worry about right now, is making sure that both of those parts of the stroke happen at the same time. There's lots of other nuances to the rowing stroke, which I'll cover when we go through each of the intervals today, and maybe through some of the rest periods as well. Don't want to overburden you with information, but sometimes it helps to just talk about it. Okay, in 3 strokes time, let's stick 1 foot on the floor. So here we go, 1 on the floor, continue rowing with just 1 foot in the straps. Now this is the point where you could take both feet out of the straps here to help with the transition between feet. I find it really easy to do it because I'm in socks. I can just slip my feet out from the foot strap. Okay, let's swap feet. The point here is to carry on rowing with something resembling your normal rowing stroke. If anything, what this should do is improve your compression at the front, because you're only having to work against the flexibility, or inflexibility if that's the case, of one leg. instead of 2. Right, last stroke, put both feet back in, straight legs, and then just row with your back and your arms. So you're just swinging your back and forwards over your hips, and then pulling in your arms to finish, and then sending your arms back out over your knees before you rock forwards again. Really important drill to do this in terms of timing. One more here. And then let's go to the front of the machine with straight arms and push out from the front. And then push. Don't worry about going too far back. All you're trying to do is work on that connection point when your feet go down and your handle connects with the flywheel. Trying to get it both to happen at the same time so your butt doesn't scoot back or your hands don't connect too soon. One more. Nice full stroke to open up at the end. There we go, that's a warm up done. Keep on moving up and down the rail. Have a quick drink. I'll take off my hoodie and then we'll get into the main session after I quickly describe one more time what we're doing today. Okay then, so today's session is going to be 10 3-minute intervals with 3-minute rests in between. Now in terms of programming your monitor, you've got a couple of ways to do this. You can either set it up exactly as that with the intervals and just hope that we stay in sync, or you can set it to 57 minutes and just start rowing and then stop and start when I do. And then if you set the splits to 3 minutes, you can come back afterwards and see how you got on through each of the intervals. Or you'll find this workout on ErgZone pre-programmed for you to be able to send to your PM5 monitor, sorry PM3 and 4 people, and that way it'll take all of the button pushing out of the equation. As for the row itself, we're going to do each of these intervals at 28 strokes per minute, and our pace is going to be 2k plus 5. If you don't know what I mean when I'm talking about 2k plus 5 pacing, then please check out the video I have about the importance of baseline testing, which will tell you what the 2k training pace is. If you want to just go ahead and row this, then basically from an effort point of view, if you think of an out of 10, then this is going to be around about a 7 or 8, and it's going to work its way up to 9 by the time you get towards the 10th interval. So this is a tough, hard workout. You're not going maximum. You shouldn't really at any point feel you can't complete. You shouldn't really at any point feel you're lying on the floor, but it's still going to be a hard workout, okay? That's the best way to describe it. Speech-wise, I sometimes talk about that. You'll be able to grunt out a few words, but you're probably not going to be able to talk and recite Shakespeare while rowing today's session. Of course, if you're reciting Shakespeare while rowing, then that's an even better YouTube video than what I make. I'm not going to be Shakespeare, am I? With an English vocabulary or anything like that. Mrs. Reed from my secondary school teacher, she heard me say things like that. Anyway, right, you ready for this? So first interval, 28 strokes a minute, pace is 2k plus 5. Okay, here we go then. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So follow me either on the video for stroke rates, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, then just that whoosh of my flywheel is enough, hopefully, to keep you in time. This is one that it's good to try and hit the right stroke rate as soon as possible and really just dig in and hold your pace. I'm hoping to hold around about 150 through each of these intervals. Let's see how we get on. But don't worry about my time. Just giving you a reference so that I can tell you whether I'm slipping or not. After all, I'm not taking it easy through these workouts while I make them with you. I'm doing them just as intense as you are. All right, halfway through this first interval. I'm not going to start talking too much about technique until the next interval. But hopefully, if you've been through the 2K plan once already, you'll recognize the intensity of this one, but maybe welcome the fact that it's in 3-minute chunks instead of 6, because as a session 2 of a training plan, 5 times 6 minutes, it's pretty tough. All right, so we've got 20 seconds to go. Keep your pace up, keep your stroke rate up. Right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Okay, so I'm certainly up there heart rate wise. That was 82% of max in the first interval. Let's see how that progresses through the workout. But the 3 minutes recovery should be enough to just settle you back in so that you can hit the next interval at the same pace without feeling that it's happened too soon. Like I say, as we get through the 10 intervals, it is going to get progressively tougher and tougher. I just will, because just the amount of time we're spending on the rowing machine. But it shouldn't feel like you can't complete. I don't want you to think that you can't right from the start. You should be able to, so just trust me if you can on that. If you did your 2K baseline test properly and you know your training pace, then all is good. If you've just made one up, then you may have to, by the time we get to interval 5, if you're way too tired, you might need to back off a couple of seconds, but for most people, you should be fine. Like I said, I'll start talking more about technique as we get into the next intervals, but the most important thing I'll talk about is posture, and it's easier to show you on the seat where we're not rowing, but I'll talk about being up on your sit bones with your hips tilted forwards. What you find is a lot of people will row with the hips rolled backwards and everything's kind of saggy, and they'll kind of come forwards and they don't really have that power. And the difference, if you look, between rolled backwards and then up on the sit bones is huge in terms of what happens from a posture point of view. Just to be kind of, even, obviously I'm overdoing it, so if I just, there we go. So that's me sitting normally with the hips rolled back. The difference between that and that is massive in terms of what's going on from a power point of view. Suddenly I'm primed and ready for the stroke here, whereas if I'm slumped down like that, I'm not. And as I take the stroke, everything's going through my lower back. So as you come into the front, really do think about being up on your sit bones with your hips tilted forwards. So yeah, even if while you're sitting there, you kind of transition between those two positions yourself so you can feel what it's meant to be like to be up rather than back. Right, next interval's coming up in 15 seconds time. Get yourself ready. We're going in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And try and get back into pace and rate as quickly as possible. It is only 3 minutes you're working for. I know it does feel fast and as though you're putting in quite a lot of effort, but 3 minutes really isn't that long. It may feel that way by the time we get to interval 7, but so the importance of posture comes down to your back position, because what I want you to do is concentrate on hinging forwards through your hips at the front of the machine. So forwards. Not leaning in with your lower or upper back, but properly rocking forwards over your hips. And then you hold that forwards position as you drive out from the front of the machine. So hold, and then about halfway through the leg drive, that is when you finally rock over your hips into a backward lean to about 11 o'clock on a clock face. So you're basically just rocking forwards and backwards from 1 o'clock to 11, and then to 1, 11, 1, 11. Trying not to go too far past both of those points. And to be honest, the backwards position usually just takes care of itself. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, last one. 1. Yeah, if you hold your forward lean at the drive, just literally the momentum going backwards as you get here and pull in, your body kind of has no choice but to lean back. If you drive and finish in this constant forward lean, well, if you're able to do that, I would posit, if that's the right word, that you're not putting enough force from your legs, because it's kind of that push with your legs and the momentum that sends you backwards while you're pushing into the machine. That's kind of what means you kind of have to swing over, take that power to come back again. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying, is that you don't really need to think about the back. Sometimes you have to think about the front, especially thinking about that hinging, the pivoting forwards through your hips. Okay, so it's like sometimes you actually have to think, am I pivoting or am I just kind of crumpling? So I can crumple with my hips in exactly the same position, whereas this hip rock backwards and forwards, when they tilt forwards, tilt backwards, that's ideally what you want to be doing. Have a drink if you haven't already. And it's all about power, really. Power transfer, getting into the right posture, is having this hinge. If you're kind of all crumpled, then that kind of soft body you've given yourself, it's harder to send the power through it. Whereas if you're up on your sit bones forwards in a very powerful position, as you push away with your legs, the power just comes up straight through your arms and right into the machine without anything else getting in the way. Whereas if you're in the front and you're kind of crumpled in, whatever, as you push, what you find is that it kind of comes through here first, and then that kind of messes around a bit, stirs it up and goes, we don't need that bit of power, we don't need that bit of power. And then what's left goes into your arms, into the machine. So you've basically leaked a whole bunch of power because your posture is wrong. And then that also leads to things like injury and all that kind of stuff as well. So what you'll find is lots of people who say they get a sore back when they row. It's usually because they've got a poor posture and they're kind of crumpling down and they take all that force through their lower back. This is normally stuff I talk about mid-row, so it's quite refreshing to talk to you about it while I'm sitting here doing a dance on the seat instead. All right, interval 3 is coming up. Less dancing, more rowing in 10 seconds, so get yourself ready. Same thing again, 28 strokes a minute, 2K plus 5 in 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Quick check. So, I didn't tell you how my heart rate finished at interval 2, so that was 85% again, finishing interval 2. So, hopefully that means that the recovery between interval 1 and interval 2 was enough. Now, whether the last 3-minute recovery will be enough for this interval, we'll find out in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So remember what I just said about power. You get the majority of the power from that leg drive. Okay, so when you're at the front and you're about to start the stroke, you start it by pushing into the machine with your feet, as though you're trying to push the machine through the wall in front of you. And it's not a jerky stabbing motion. I want a good push. Your legs should be connected for the duration of the drive, pushing all that power, because your legs are nice and big and strong. So you want to use all of the power that they can give you. You don't want to fight against it. You don't want it to leak out onto the floor. You just want a solid push with those legs. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Interval 3 done. 89% that time, so I'm getting into the upper range of the heart rate zones. So I'm in the, what's this? Oxygen transport, TR, or zone 4, which is above 85%, depending on what you read, of course. That's fine to get into there and then have this recovery. Okay, so this is what's keeping this as a mid-tier workout. Okay, it's not about your individual interval effort, which towards the end of that, you are starting to get towards what you would be doing in, say, the hard throws of a top tier. Especially, like I say, as we get further through this workout. But it's not about those individual moments. It's not about taking a cross section in time and saying, well, that point there, it's quite clearly a top tier. It's about looking at how hard you're working and then taking these 3-minute rests in between to keep it down again. If we were to do this 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, that would make it a very top tier. That would probably destroy. It really kind of push you because you wouldn't get the recovery. So you'd constantly be activated. Whereas by the end of this 3 minutes, you should have recovered enough. I mean, so if I finished around about 62 heart rate at the end of that last one. And what's that? So we're, in fact, let's wait 15 more seconds. I'll have a quick drink. So yeah, so I finished about 162, 2 minutes gone into this recovery, and my heart rate is 62. So I've dropped 100 beats in 2 minutes, and I'm kind of, fair enough, my resting heart rate is kind of around about 44 to 42. So I'm still quite high above my resting heart rate, but I've recovered 100 beats in 2 minutes. So it shows how effective this rest is in terms of recovery, that it is there and it is good. So please look at these sessions as their entirety rather than, like I say, taking a cross section when you're 2 minutes 50 into one of the intervals, which will feel like you're putting in, oh, this is top tier effort. It's not. Trust me. I know what I'm on about. I know what I'm saying. I'm not making this up. Trust me. Oh, right. Interval 4 is going to start in 15 seconds time. Make sure you're ready for it. Maybe think about just reseating your backside. Get that posture up so you know how you're supposed to feel. And we are going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Same again. So last time I was talking about how to start and lay that power into the machine by pushing with your legs. Push. Okay, so push that machine away from you. And I've already talked about how keeping a good posture will let that power flow from your legs up through your posterior chain and then into your arms before going to the handle. So what do you do with your arms then? Well, at the start of the drive, nothing. All I want you to think about for your arms is to keep them relaxed, okay? Nice and loose as you come in, and then at the point where you push with the legs and the handle connects with the flywheel, all you do with your arms is brace against that power. You don't tense up. You certainly don't fight against it by pulling the handle. There is no pull at the front of the machine. If you find you have to pull, then chances are your drag factor is set so that the weight of the machine is too heavy, and you're having to fight against it by pulling with your arms. But all that does is leak even more power onto the floor. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same 162, 90% max heart rate, so working hard, but recovering well. So yeah, so if you come into the front and as you push with your legs, the weight of the machine means that the only way you can continue to go backwards rather than just face planting, if the only way you can make sure that happens is by then pulling on the handle in order to fight against the weight of that flywheel, then there's a good chance you've got the drag factor too high. On concept 2, what that means is that your lever will be too high. So just lower it down a bit, get to a point where you're like, actually this is more comfortable. And then when you're finished the workout, you then press menu, display, or show more, menu, more options, display, drag factor. Yeah, that's it. Row a couple of strokes and it'll tell you then what your drag factor is. And then think, right, that's where I should really be setting it each time I come and row. So, and then every time you sit down at your machine, make sure that's where the drag factor is. And hopefully that'll be better for you so you don't have to pull. Because the problem is that if you pull at the front, not only are you then stealing all this power from your legs, you're also absorbing power. So you're fighting against your legs, you're also absorbing power from your legs. And if you pull too early, when eventually you do get to a point when you're meant to be pulling in, you've only got this distance left to pull in. Whereas if you've got straight arms as you drive, you've got this whole, look at my big gorilla arms. I've got all that length I can pull in. Whereas if I had already started pulling, I've only got half of that length. I've got little Tyrannosaurus arms at that point instead of gorilla arms. Drink. Somebody has said to me before about the ape index, is it the ape hanging index or hanging ape index? It's like a climber's thing. And that I must have quite a good index because I can get forwards and I can pretty much touch the throats of the machine. So I've got big Neanderthal arms. Oh, how you feeling anyway? Less about me, more about you. I can certainly feel my right quad is feeling a bit unhappy about today's workout just because of the power we're putting in. Let's hope it'll see it through to the end. But heart rate's down at 74 right now, so not quite recovered as well as I had on the last interval. And the next one is starting in 10 seconds, so make sure and get yourself ready because we're going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Straight back into it, okay? You certainly, as you start each of these intervals, you shouldn't feel tired and as though you can't continue. What might happen is that as we go through this workout, the point where it starts to feel tough will come sooner and sooner. Say in the first interval, it was like 15 seconds to go. Maybe now that we're going through the fifth interval, you'll find at around about 45 seconds to go, you'll start to need to concentrate on keeping that power output up. That's important because that kind of moment is what you'll experience anytime you're rowing a performance piece, be that 500 meters, 1K, 2, 5, 10, or even a marathon. There'll become a point where you'll have left your comfort zone and have to step up to perform. And so that is the value of sessions like this. These mid-tier tempo sessions that repeatedly expose you to hardship or for a longer period of time. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 92%. Quick reminder though that even though I'm saying 92%, the ErgZone app that I use, it's got slightly the wrong max heart rate for me. I think it's calculated it by age rather than my actual max. So my age based, if you do the 220 minus age, is 174. Yes, I'm that old. Oh, I know I don't look it. Thank you so much. Whereas you may have heard me say in another workout that recently I did a Zwift on the bike workout and my heart rate was up at 183. So basically that 220 minus your age formula is kind of pants, really. I mean, in fact, most formulas are pants, but what they do is they kind of scattergun, cast a wide net over the entire population. And if you were to plot a graph, you'd probably hit most of the people roundabout correct. But then you also have to remember, most people aren't sports people like us. Most people don't push themselves this hard on the machine and develop their heart capacity to be able to tolerate more and give ourselves a better max heart rate, etc. So you have to take things like anything that's a formula, anything that is a cookie cutter approach formula. Hang on. Like the BMI and stuff. You have to take them with a pinch of salt because they are designed for the whole nation. They're not designed for us. They're not designed for sportsy folk. Like from when David Beckham was playing, I think I've said this before, when Beckham was playing for Manchester United, because he was so powerful, so strong, his BMI actually put him as overweight because his weight versus height and stuff, because he had so much muscle on him. When he did his BMI, it said, oh, you're overweight, mate. You need to lose some weight. And then you look at what Beckham was like when he played for Manchester United. He had pretty much the Brad Pitt body that most guys just dream of. So that's what I'm saying, is that anything, even if it's down to diets and stuff, anything that claims to be a cookie cutter and you just throw it at people is just rubbish, okay? This is why the 2K plan, which is the 2K training pace idea, works so well, because that's based on your performance on a 2K plus 18 seconds. So you may be faster than me, so you're maybe training faster than me, and that's great, because it's for you rather than for me. I'm not just saying row this at 2 minutes 2 pace or something. So anyway, sorry, I'll continue this rant later if you wish, because we're going to interval 6 in 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So we have passed the Bon Jovi point. We were halfway there. I don't think we were living on a prayer. I know I've done this joke before, but in the great tradition of dad jokes, there ain't no joke out there that doesn't get funnier if you say it again and again. So yeah, interval 6. We're on the downhill of this workout now. It's not to say it's going to get any easier, but at least the end is in sight. So back to the arms. You drive out from the front with straight arms. You want your hands kind of open with your fingers hooked over the handle. Now I prefer the power transfer that you get with thumbs under the handle. I feel thumbs on top of the handle, sorry. Sends the force through your forearms. Another potential leak there. So, fingers hooked over the handle and a nice open palm. You're not gripping the dear life out the handle, you're just hooking over it, so that then with your straight arms, as you push with the legs, that power just effortlessly goes from your legs into the handle with nothing in your arms getting in the way. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Well done for keeping up with me. Not in a, hey, you can keep up with me, but just stroke rate rise, stroke rate wise. Hopefully you're sticking with me for these 28 strokes a minute. Although I was seeing 29 from time to time, so apologies. 4 to go, which is good news. I always find when there's 3 to go, I feel that they just fly by. But 5 and 4, Anyway, arms. So instead of gripping for dear life on the handle, okay, and therefore tensing up and losing lots of power, you want to be nice, loose arms, nice and floppy like a zombie, and fingers hooked over, okay? And that way it elongates your arm anyway, so the difference between that and that might only be like a centimetre, but hey, in the world of rowing, an extra centimetre drive, woo! So fingers hooked, and then thumb under, lightly touching the forefinger if nothing else. I prefer that rather than on top, because on top I can really feel it there in my kind of, that'd be what, the terrace elbow region that you'd injure if my thumb's on top, whereas underneath I just feel it just a straight line straight through my hand. That's just me. Everything I'm saying today in terms of technique is just me, okay? But most of what I say to do is based around efficiency of power, so to make sure it gets much power into the machine as you can. It's in terms of, in the same way, you then get speed out of that because you're putting in so much efficient power, but also injury reduction as well. Like I said, thumb on the top for me, I really feel it's on the outside of my upper forearm, which is where you kind of get tennis elbow. That I do that, so I know if I was to row with my thumb on top of the handle, I'd eventually get wicked tennis elbow on top, whereas I don't if it's underneath. And it's the same with the posture. Is why, because even I got terrible posture when I'm sitting here talking to you now, I'm all rounded, but when I row I do try and be up, because that point of pushing with your legs, it all just goes down there. So everything I talk about is really down to efficiency of power. Also means that you don't get tired quite as much. Like I said, those really tense arms get you more tired. But you don't have to listen to me. It's not like I'm there. I'm not going to see you and shout at you. I'm not that kind of coach, man. I'm just here to keep you company. I'm your companion. 3 musketeers, well, 2 musketeers, it's just you and me. Right, 10 seconds to go until we get into interval 7. You ready for this? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So continuing the arms discussion, they're getting a real headline rating in today's workout, aren't they? It is quite important what you do with your arms, especially the whole thing of don't pull at the front of the stroke. That's one of the most vital things to learn, is the front of the stroke is about pushing with your legs, not pulling with your arms. But you do need to pull with your arms eventually. And that happens round about the halfway point of the leg drive. So as your legs are halfway, that's when you swing your body from that forward lean to that backward lean. And right after you initiate that swing, that's when you start the finish with the arms. And it's not a weak, perfunctory, limp finish. I want you to really think about finishing strong. A good, strong pull to a finish. Squeeze your shoulder blades together to get a tiny bit more out of your arm pull. And try and get those elbows through your sides. And just make sure to pull. Feel the handle come in nice and strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heart rate still up there, 94%. How will it finish? So yeah, pull. Try if you can to keep your wrists as flat as possible as you come through. Now, what that might mean, and what you may have been taught, is to do kind of a elbow flare out as you come to the back. Very much an on the water rowing maneuver to pull in and put the elbows out to the side because of the whole oar thing. Whereas I prefer just coming in with a very slight, I'm not bowing out at the front where the elbows come to the side, like almost perpendicular. My elbows come through my sides. I squeeze the shoulder blades together because for me, that engages my lats. Okay, so I pull, it's all about arm, bicep, lats, finish, a little bit of shoulders. If I was to do that, suddenly I'm engaging this shoulder muscle up here, and my lats aren't really as engaged as if I came through like that. Also, you get real good pec at that point as well. So that's how I do it. But again, that's not to say that's how you row. It's not to say that if someone's taught you to do the flare out that that's wrong. But if you're just on the on the erg rower, doing it using a rowing machine, if you're flaring out, you're doing something specific for on the water rowing. In fact, I'll talk about the handle return next. And what you'll find is on the water rowers, they'll pull in and then they'll tap down, come forwards, then rise, come in again. So it kind of goes in this elliptical motion. And that's because they have to get that oar out of the water again. So they push down to get the oar out. We don't need to do that as indoor rowers. So if we can come straight in and out, it maintains this posture that I keep on talking about. Whereas if you come in and push down, what can happen, not saying everyone, but that slump appears because you're lowering. Obviously I'm over exaggerating. And then what's even worse is that as you lift up, a lot of people will then instantly lean back before they push with the legs. and you're robbing yourself of that swing from here to there, which your upper body adds quite a lot of power through that swing. So I'll talk about that next interval, which is starting in 13 seconds. So we're at interval 8 next. Whew. You ready for this? In 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So let's pick up where we left off. So we've finished strong, okay? So you pull in, squeeze the shoulder blades, elbows to your sides, and you're finished. Well, that's half of the stroke done. You still have to get back to the front again. And so the first thing to do is to get that handle away from you. Now, like I just said, I prefer, as an indoor rower, to keep my handle height as close to the same height through the whole stroke. So I come in and then straight back out. And the pace I pull in at, I send it right back out at. So I'm not jerking and rushing it. There's a rhythm, a flow. We're dancing with the machine, okay? In, out. In, out. It's like bellows almost. So, get that handle away at the same height, same rhythm, and get those arms nice and straight and relaxed, ready for the start of the next stroke. But you also need to rock your body forwards. So hands away, rock. Hinge over your hips. And what you want to do is get hands past your knees before your knees bend to initiate your slide down the rail. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was a tougher one. Didn't quite. I dropped pace by 0.6 of a second on that one. Found myself having to, I was creeping up to like 29 at times to try and hit 150, but I backed off to make sure and stay at 28. After all, that's the plan. 2 more to go. So yeah, so handle in and out, in and out. So you're just going whoa. It's almost like it's a circle, a free-flowing circle. Obviously, I said don't go down. I'm not counter. I'm just trying to tell you the rhythm here. It's like the rhythm of doing a circle, but you're actually just going in, out, in a nice rhythm. So if I was to go slower, I'd go out slow, in. If I was to go fast, like on a 2K race or a 500 meter race, don't think I'd be rowing at this stroke rate to be honest, but it'd still be in, out, in. The same rhythm. And then you want to get hands away, which then start that hip rock. And then once you've got hands away, hip rock, then you bend your knees to roll forwards again. what you don't want to do is bend your knees and have to put your hands up over your knees. Because what happens is if you come into that back position and then you bend your knees, excuse me, look at what's happened to my hips. So I go, whoop, suddenly I'm all rolled backwards again. Remember, we don't want to be like that. We want to be up and forwards, not like that. So if I'm rolling forwards like this and I throw my handle up over my knees, I have to somehow get from this position up into that position, which is a whole waste of energy, really. And that's the kind of thing that then leads to people saying they've got a sore butt, because you're constantly, see if you do this for long enough, right? Going from that back to front, back to front. I've done that, 5 times already. My glutes are going, could you please stop doing that? Because my butt bone is rolling over and squashing and kneading my gluteus maximus, I believe we call it. And it's kind of just bruising that. So people that say they get sore butt when they row, usually it's because they're rocking their hips backwards and forwards the whole time, rather than tilting. Doing that doesn't hurt my butt at all. Hurts my stomach. Well, no, it doesn't. Okay, interval 9's coming up in 7 seconds. Too busy talking that time. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, quickly let's go back to legs for this one. More importantly, feet. So, your feet play an interesting part in the stroke. At the drive, you want your feet to be entirely connected with the foot plate. Okay, get those heels down. And ideally, you want to be connected the whole way through the leg drive. But most importantly, what you don't want to do is tug your toes against the foot straps, either to stop you at the end of the stroke or to pull yourself back up the rail. Remember I said the point is to get the handle away over your knees, hip rock forwards, and then bending your knees should let you effortlessly slide to the front of the machine. There is no tugging on the foot straps to be seen. You may, at this stroke rate, just have a tiny, secure kind of nudge on the foot strap at the back of the stroke, but most importantly, don't tug yourself forwards with the foot strap. Whew. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's better. Back to 50.1 again. So, yes, at this pace, there is an element of, as you come to the back, your toes might lift a little bit just to stop flying off the back, but you certainly don't yank your knees up. It's all about that momentum. Then once you're here, because of the momentum and slightly because of the very, very slight downward angle of the rail, what happens is you just bend your knees. You don't have to tug on the foot straps. You just bend and you roll forwards. And I do quite a lot of rowing strapless at low rate, like kind of 18, 20, 22. So you take your feet out the straps and you row at the low rates. And then that's all about core control and that timing to get you back down again. You'll see some of my workouts I do that way. I don't think session 3 I do, but yeah, that's a great way to teach you, especially if you think you're in the habit. Basically, if you're rowing, if you're on the come out and row, and you find that your straps are loosening off while you're rowing, okay? As in like they're really, by the end of it, like an inch or an inch above your shoe because they're so loose, then that's going to be because you're you're stopping yourself at the back, spoiling all this momentum as you come back and you're kind of jamming against there, and suddenly all your muscles are, your lower back's firing, your shins down here are firing, everything's going, and that's all power you should have put into the machine that you're suddenly just soaking here. If you find that your foot straps are coming loose, there's a good chance that you're doing that you're coming back and you're really just stopping yourself and then yanking yourself forwards again. And so a poor piece of technique for so many levels, injury, power, and again, it'll really tire you. Imagine just sit and do that on the machine enough times and you're going to get tired and you're going to hurt your lower back. So please don't do that. I don't want you getting injured on my watch. And plus, if you row in socks, see tugging on the straps, oh, it's a bit painful. I'll get blisters across me. Right, last interval coming up. You ready for this? We're gonna go in 10 seconds time. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, I hope you'll agree that it's been certainly a hard workout. But you should also have found that what I was saying was hopefully correct. That as you go through this workout, the point when it started to get into real hardship may have appeared sooner and sooner on each interval, but the 3-minute rests in between have meant that this was never a workout that you wouldn't be able to complete. And again, not to toot my own horn, but I've been rowing this at the same relative pace as you, 2K plus 5. And I've not shut up the whole time. So I'm effectively holding my breath for half of the workout every time I talk to you. So you have a massive cardio advantage on me here because you're not talking. So if I can complete this workout at 2K plus 5, then I really hope that that's proof that you can too when you're not talking. Almost there. Stay strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I may have hit 29 again. That was a super duper workout. I enjoyed that one. To be fair though, there's not many of my own workouts I don't enjoy. I'd be a poor salesman if I was like, oh, I hate this workout. Not a huge fan of the Tabata. That's just because it's so destructive. But I still like the training benefit you get from it. So just in the middles of it, I probably think, why did I choose this one today? Okay, do you want to join me for a 2-minute cooldown? Please do. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Basically just same as a warm up, 18 strokes a minute. And all I want you to do is just connect with your legs and your arms. Don't worry about pace. Maybe pick around 2k plus 30 if you're really worried about wanting to make sure you've got some kind of a reference. But as long as you're connecting with the legs, connecting with the arms and performing a proper stroke, that's all I need from you. It's important just to let your body slide itself into neutral. Let your brain just assimilate all the info you just picked up. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with me wanting to carry on talking. No. I have you hostage. You must listen to me while I talk to you about subscribing to my channel and clicking bells and leaving comments. And although that said, please do click on subscribe and click the bell icon and check out the podcast and leave a few comments. So I do hope you enjoy these, whether they're standalone workouts or whether you're incorporating them into any of the plans that I have. Remember, most of the plans are modular. I think the top tier ones should probably stay the same, but the bottom and mid ones, you can swap out any of my bottom or mid workouts. Last stroke for me, you can carry on cooling down if you wish. I'll try and make today's sign off quicker because frankly, I'm getting a bit delusions of adequacy, aren't I, when it comes to these closing statements. But yeah, so plan wise, I always do either a bottom, mid or top tier. Sometimes it's like a mix between a bottom or a mid, and that's when you kind of choose. But if you look through the plans, they're always tagged bottom, mid or top. And so any bottom tier workout you can swap with another bottom tier, just in case you've been through the plans a couple of times and you're fed up listening to exactly the same stuff from me. The mid ones, again, most of the time you should be able to swap them out as well, but the top tier ones do tend to be a bit more specifically tailored to that plan. Like the 500 meter plan, all of those top ones are about making you work short, sharp, fast, hard for that 500 meter sprint. And the 2K one is about exposing you to that kind of the intensity that you're going to feel in a 2K, and the same with the 5K ones. The top ones, maybe you keep them within, but you can swap any of them around and just, yeah, you can look at my varying haircuts and girth as I put on weight and lose weight and whatever. I'm not entirely sure what state I'm in right now, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the point. I don't know if I ever get that across enough, but hopefully you'll understand. So anyway, thank you so much for putting up with me for another session. I hope you enjoyed today's as much as I did. I certainly feel that has been a great one for developing that kind of tenacity at effort where you actually have to think, I'm gonna have to keep going here, but it's okay, I'm gonna get a break, so it's fine. So hopefully it has helped you as much too. As far as a hashtag is concerned, what we talked about today, I should really think about this beforehand, but I never plan what I talk about. Didn't really go off-piste about anything today, did I? What did I talk about? I can't remember. I know I had a rant at one point, but I can't remember what it was. Let's just do rant. Why not, hey? Hashtag rant. Then people will look and go, oh, he's off on one again. Maybe they'll avoid this one. But yeah, hashtag rant. So if you've made it this far and you want to prove that you made it this far, then just put hashtag rant or rant alert or make up your own or just be nice or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you continue to be well, and I hope to see you in the next video. Yeah, see ya. Bye-bye.